God has a plan for you. Sometimes in life, you don't really see what you're supposed to do. Why are we here? Why are you here? What is your purpose? What do you seek? What are my talents? These questions are asked by everyone on earth, right? All humans have these questions, but they cannot really get the answer to. They think so, at least. However, God has a plan for you. He has purpose for you. He sees something in you that you don't. Something that has very great potential. You have to look within. You have to look within yourself to see what your capabilities are. Who am I? What are my talents? What do I want to do? In life, it is very, very important to find a purpose. If you do not find your purpose, your calling, however you want to call it, your calling, then you're going to be an incomplete human being. And if you're a very incomplete human being, then you'll never really live. You always try to find happiness. I want to find this. I want to find money. I want success. But if you don't have love for yourself and you don't find the path that you're supposed to walk, you'll never be a complete human being and you'll never really be happy. Searching for happiness is a whole nother topic. I don't really believe in searching for happiness because searching for peace, that is something that you can actually accomplish. Happiness is an emotion. You just have days that are better than other days. Actually looking for happiness is going to be a very difficult task and it's probably never going to work. Searching for peace, now that is going to work. That is something that you can accomplish. And God has that for you. He can offer you peace. However, you finding peace, you going to that path, what He created you to do for, that is the difficult part in life. Because you have to find out about a lot of things. It doesn't come overnight. You have to put in a lot of hard work. And you cannot just do this in a few months or in a few years. Sometimes it takes people a lifetime to find this. And I'm trying to tell you that this can be easier. This can be sooner. You just have to let your talent speak, find out who you are, and love yourself and trust in God. Because if you do not do these things, it's going to be very hard for you to find or swim your way through life. However, following God, that path that you are set out to take is going to be a very narrow path. It's going to be dark there. You're going to be alone there. It's going to be difficult to find your way through. And that is why not many people want to follow God's plan, because it's not really a nice place. He's going to polish you. And when you get polished like a blade with a stone, that is a very, very rough mechanic, right? It's not a pleasant thing to endure. And if He shows you the plan, He shows you this is what you are going to have to go through to get to your final destination, everyone will turn around. Everyone would be like, nah, I'm good actually. I'm just gonna do the 9-to-5 job and be unhappy with my life because I'm not really looking for all of that trouble. That's why He doesn't show you directly. God doesn't show you directly what He has in store for you. If He would show you, you would turn around. Me, you, everybody would turn around. That's why you do have to follow it. You have to trust the process. You have to believe it. You have to have faith. Because if you do not have these things, you're not going to succeed and you're not going to continue on that path. And trust me, there's a lot of other paths that you can walk. But God's plan is the correct one. That's the right one. That is your calling. There's so many other ways. You can go right, you can go left, you can go straight ahead. There's a lot of other paths to follow. A lot of other plans to follow. Those are evil plans. Do not follow those plans. You have a calling, you have a purpose. You ask yourself, how do I do this, right? How do I find my purpose? Ask. If you can't get a direct answer from God, you have to ask within yourself. Pray. Steve Harvey always said this: don't ever be afraid to pray, don't ever be too proud to pray. Prayer changes things. If you do not believe in all of this, what do you have to lose? Nothing. If it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. But you do ask these questions out there to yourself, right? You have to find out somehow. You have to do something to try to stir up the soup that you're cooking up, right? You have to do something to make the water boil. You have to do something to step out of the way. You have to ask, make mistakes, try to take risks. If you want to be successful, if you want to follow God's plan, you want to do something with your life, you gotta take those risks. You gotta take those steps. You gotta take those things that are those steps that look a little bit suspicious, right? They're like, if I go down this path, I might lose everything. But then you gotta go ask yourself again this question: what do you have to lose? if you're unhappy with your life? How many cases have we seen? People with everything, with money, wealth, whatever it might be. How many of those have you seen unhappy or went down still a very dark path, right? Maybe because they took a shortcut. True peace that you find, God's plan that you have to follow, that He has in store for you, you gotta take courage for that. You have to be very strong for that. You need wisdom for that. And those things you cannot get if you don't live, if you don't try stuff. I have tried so many things in life to try to figure out who I am. From my age of, I would say, 22 to 25, I'm 26 right now, that's where I started to figure out actually who I was. I had all those years with other stuff, misery or unaccomplished things I never really went for, opportunities that I put away, people that did me wrong, people who casted me away, people that I put energy and effort in that I never got back. All of those things can happen. Those happen in life. But when you look in yourself, what am I? Who am I? And what is my purpose? Other things will start to make sense. You can now look at that path. If you look down at the path, you finally see steps you can take. You gotta be willing to take those steps. That's why they say baby steps. Take baby steps. Because if you do not see any steps, where do you walk? It's dark out here. I can't see anything. What do you do then? That's why you gotta look, ask the questions. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? Ask God Himself, what is my purpose? What do you want from me? What can I do? At some point, He's gonna show you steps. Take those steps. Don't be afraid to take those steps, because sometimes those steps look really, really scary. I had this with my life as well. When you look at those steps, you're like, oh man, I can only see the first two. What happens if there's a cliff at the third one? You know, that's why the faith and the trust comes in place. You gotta trust in God's plan. And when you can see and you take more steps and you get closer and closer and closer, then all of a sudden, those steps, the darkness fades away. You can see a stairway up to the mountaintop, and you know that there's only one way up to the mountaintop. That's the plan. And if you do not take the plan or take shortcuts or whatever, you will fall from the mountain again. The fame or the success, the money, whatever you had, will crumble again. That's why the stairs and the steps that you have to take longer. They're more miserable. They're going to be more painful, but they're going to shape and make you. And that is the purpose of the plan. Because if you do not take and you do not stick to the plan, you will get to the mountaintop maybe. You'll find a way of success, but you're not going to stay at the mountaintop. That's the most important part, right? When you want peace, or people when they find happiness, and then when they think that they found it, or they found it and they lost it again, that's why. You got to be willing to take the heavy steps. You got to be willing to take the hard steps. And that's why you got to trust in God's plan. He has one for you. He has time for you. Put your faith in Him, and then He will find you. But you got to be willing to self-reflect. What can I do better? Who am I? And you got to do good as well to others, right? You cannot be bitter walking through life. When you are the best version of yourself in any shape or form, that's when you can take the steps. That's when you will learn. That's how you can reflect, and that's how you can grow. And sometimes life is not easy. I know that. Life can be very hard. And these steps can be very hard to take, and they take some time. But take the time then. You do not want to live a life where you didn't follow the plan and you ended up somewhere and you're like, what happened? I've had this feeling as well many times, like, what is life? What is the purpose? Why am I here? What is the meaning of all of this? You got to have a plan, find out your talents, follow that plan, and you're going to be fine. It's not going to be easy, but at the end, you're going to be at the mountaintop and you're going to stay there, and you'll find peace. I'll see everyone in the next video. Peace.